Hi, I'm Fergal Lawler from the Cranberries. You're listening to Rock at Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel good. Now, get on down.
Hi, this is Anita Stewart with Rock at Night. I'm here chatting today with Fergal Lawler, the drummer from the Cranberries. We have a lot to talk about with an album being released tomorrow. So tell us, why don't we get right into that? That's Stars. It's a retrospective of your earlier songs with the band. And tell us a little bit about how that happened, how that came to be.
It's Stars is the greatest hits kind of all the singles we release. It was released on it was available online to download, but it only became available and it was a CD back in the day, around 2002, I'd say 2003 maybe it came out. And there was 2 brand new songs recorded specifically for it because we felt we wanted to give fans value for money and put new songs on it rather than just have all the singles, you know. We wanted to have something special. And then last year for Record Store Day, it became available on vinyl for the first time. It was a special release for Record Store Day, and it was hugely popular. And then as a result, the record company contacted us and said, look, this people are going bananas for this. They want to have a vinyl copy of it. So maybe we should release it as a proper vinyl copy. So we gave the go ahead to that.
What is the Record Store Day? Is that something special over in Ireland?
Do you not have it in the States? No,
No?
I think because vinyl has become so popular again in the past 5 to 10 years, I suppose. They were trying to promote record stores again because a lot of people were shopping online for music and they wanted to kind of get them out in the street and go to a store. And, you know, the joy of going to a record shop and spend hours, you know, trawling through records. I've spent many years doing it on tour, especially. You'd go to like a secondhand record store. I'd like buy an extra suitcase and fill up stuff with, you know, rarities that I couldn't get anywhere else. You know, I spend hours doing it. It's a fantastic way to spend a day. And just you always seem to have good music on in the store as well, stuff you've never heard. It's like, oh, what's this playing? You know, and knowledgeable people behind the counter and can steer in the right direction.
What was really cool about some of those old record stores, because we had a lot of different chain record stores, but one of the biggest ones that was in the area here, mostly southeast part of the United States, was called Peaches. And we used to go in there and spend hours and hours. And this was back in the Allman Brothers and Southern Rock, but they carried everything. And some of the early punk music, they, you know, an alternative, what you would call alternative.
Yes.
But it was a lot of fun because if you really wanted to hear something and you took the album up to the front, they would open it and play it for you. So you could literally hear before you bought. Now everything is digital and you can hear everything before you buy it anyway. But back then it was all packaged, and of course we had a lot of fun with the packaging itself, the liner notes and, you know, the big covers and the art and everything. That I kind of miss that old fashioned.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because it is a piece of art, you know, especially a vinyl because it's so big. It's almost like a poster, and you can read through where everything was recorded in the notes and who did what and who produced it or who played on what. You know, it was always, you know, when we were younger, one of us would buy an album and we'd all go to their house and listen to the album and read all the liner notes and everything, you know. It was a big ordeal.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I watched some of the old clips last night, and one of the most impressive performances, at least for me, when I go back and watch some of the old videos, is that concert in Paris that you all did. I think it was in 1999. And you were a beast on the drums. Do you normally play them that hard, or was it just? Yeah, because it's like the excitement and everything was incredible.
A live experience. The adrenaline is pumping, and you want to give everything for the audience because, you know, they've paid money to come and see a show, and you want to really put on a good performance. So I think a lot of people, when they saw us live, were shocked at how powerful we were, because maybe they weren't expecting it, I think. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have that energy level up.
And a lot of the comments, like I don't watch just a video. I'll go and I'll look at the comments on YouTube. And a lot of people said, wow, this band is incredible because they're actually playing the show and it's almost better than the recording, you know? So they were like really, really into it. Even watching the video playback, you know, so many years later, they're still into it. So that's brilliant. Some staying power for, you know, that says a lot for the band, the Cranberries, because your music is still played, you're still relevant. And
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's really hard to believe this. And the support is unbelievable.
Yeah, and now we're into another, you know, war situation. I hate to bring the politics up, but that song is just as relevant as it was back in the 90s. Yeah. I'm talking about Zombie in particular.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
So let me ask you this. When MTV rolled around, one of the most famous Irish bands that kind of gave it a kickstart was U2, of course, because their video was in constant play on MTV. But another thing that keeps YouTube relevant, I think, is just the amount of music that's put on that platform. And while all the other, it seems to me anyway, that all the other social sites have had issues with, you know, just their staying power. And YouTube is a big one. YouTube, where music is constantly recorded. And you guys, your band was one of the first ones to reach 1 billion views for that video for Zombie. What was that like?
It was mind-blowing. You know, it's hard to fathom 1 billion views. It's just, the number is so huge. And as it was getting closer, you know, someone had pointed out to us a few months in advance saying, this is, you know, this song is getting a lot of views and it looks like it's going to go to 1 billion. And I remember I was doing an interview with an Irish radio, Dave Fanning show. He was always a great DJ for Irish alternative music in our earlier days. And I was on the phone to him and he said, it's just after hitting 1 billion. And I think I nearly started crying. I was just so emotional, really, because I'm kind of getting a bit that way again. Because Dolores had passed away, you know, a year or so beforehand, and it's still very fresh. And to be honest, it still is, you know, it's not something I think I'll ever get over. It's just something you'll have to learn to live with. And should have been so proud, you know, of that. It's just incredible that her song has reached so many people, you know. It's amazing. Now,
did she write that exclusively, or did other members of the band pitch in?
I remember the day she came in. We were rehearsing in a tiny little garage out the back of a friend's house, a small little damp, cold garage, and it was probably late winter, early spring, and she came in and she had read a news story about a bombing in the UK, and she was really angry, and she said, look, this song is really angry, could you give me a distortion pedal or something like that, you know, and don't be afraid to hit the drums too hard. You know, I was always conscious of not hitting the drums hard in a space like that, because it was so small and you didn't want to deafen everybody. But she said, no, go for it. And turn up the guitars, give me a distortion pedal. I wanted to be really angry. And she just started playing, and then we kind of listened for a few minutes, and then everyone started adding in their own parts, and then it evolved into what it was then.
Yeah, it's an incredible song. And it's, I always, as a singer myself, I always look at how ethereal her voice was, that she could really do anything with it. She could make it extremely powerful, or she could make it super, super soft. And I watched her with Pavarotti last night doing Ave Maria, and just, I was blown away by that.
Yeah, it's goosebumps, isn't it?
Yeah. And with this album coming out, what do you think of this technology that's going forward? But then all of a sudden, everybody has a record player now, and everybody wants vinyl. What's your thoughts on that? Because it's almost like a retech. I don't know what other to
I know.
put on it.
There's something about vinyl. First of all, it's the technology side of it, that it's not as compressed as MP3s or whatever like that. So it's more open, it's wider sounding. But then there's also the fact of, you have to get up off your seat, walk over, flip the record and put it back on, and you hear the scratchiness of the needle and everything. That's part of the atmosphere, I think, of a vinyl record. You know, it's a whole different thing. I mean, it's not portable. You can't put it in your car. So that's fine for MP3s. But if you have time to sit down at home and listen to something, or your friends are over in your bedroom, you know, if you're a teenager and you throw on a record, it's amazing. It's a different experience. It actually takes you away from the harshness of the real world, I think. Maybe, you know, put away your phone, sit down, listen to a record and talk about it with your friends. You know, it's a different experience.
The difference too is, I think artists used to put like really specific songs on the first side, and they would keep that in consideration for when you actually did walk over and do the flip to the second side. It was like a whole different
we would always do that as well, you know, work out a playlist of what song should come first, second, third, or whatever, you know, and then try a few different ones, and then maybe finish off with something really soft or something really dark, or, you know, that kind of way. The last song in side 2 should be, you know, it's the outro. It's goodbye, everybody, you know.
Right. Did you ever think that that you would be sitting here years later and still be commenting on this same music?
No, it's hard to believe. It really is. I mean, Linger was our very first song that we ever wrote together, and still it's played a lot. I hear it in the radio a lot. It's crazy. It's hard to believe it, but just so humble and so proud of what we've done. It's amazing, and we're just very lucky, and we worked hard, but we're still very lucky. There's plenty of bands that work hard but just don't get the break.
Right. I remember hearing that song. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. And of course, this was when the Walkman was popular. And if you were smart, you didn't have a car when you lived in D.C. You know, there was wonderful public transportation everywhere. So I was riding a bus, and I had my Walkman on, and that came over the most popular rock station in DC. Can't remember the call letters. And it was Linger. And I said, who is this band? And of course I had to go and do research, because I thought, that's not Sinead O'Connor, that's somebody else, you know. But someone with that same lilting voice. And I think they call it an old word called keening.
Okay.
That might have something to do with wailing, like dirges, or you know, the dark side. And her element, the element of her vocals was similar to that dirge, like a mystery.
I think Dolores had taken piano lessons from a young age, but her piano teacher, I think, suggested, you know, why don't you try and go to a vocal teacher and see, you know, they'll help you with your breathing and this and that. And she went once, and the vocal teacher was kind of saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, that's wrong. that's technically not right. So she kind of said, hold on a second, I can try anything I want with my voice. If it's technically not right, fine, but this is the way I express myself. And, if someone tells me it's wrong, then they're going to kill my expression. So she kind of never went back after that and said, no, I'll do it my own way. And, I think that's why she's so unique, because she's not a trained singer.
And then she was also into the Gregorian chant, which I found fascinating, because I was also raised Catholic, so I remember the music in Latin actually.
Gorgeous, it's ethereal.
So, what is the difference between this album that's going to be released tomorrow, Stars, and the album that you put out before, which was Remembering Dolores?
Yeah, Remembering Dolores was a special thing. We did a playlist basically for her birthday, what would have been her 50th birthday. We all chose 3 songs each. The 3 guys in the band chose 3 songs each. Stephen Street, our producer, chose some songs. Her mother and some of her family members and her kids chose songs. And we made a playlist out of all these songs, as in, the songs that remind us of Dolores. And we just thought it was a really sweet thing to do for her birthday. And then again, there was a huge reaction online to it, and fans were saying, where can I buy a copy of it? And we said, well, it's only, a playlist for download. And then we kept getting messages of, can you please release it on vinyl? And, so that we did that as well for that.
Now, when you play music now, do you prefer to do the analog or the digital, or do a combination of all that?
It's a combination of both. Yeah. I have a computer to record onto, but I mostly use analog equipment. Like even my keyboards are old analog keyboards, vintage keyboards, and a couple of modern ones, but some vintage ones, and then guitars and real piano, real drums, sometimes program stuff. But it's a mix of both. But,
so we were talking about a little bit about low tech and no tech and record players. So I'm seeing and talking to other musicians that are going back to the analog, because they just feel that it has a purer sound.
Yes.
So all of that garbage they told us about CDs wasn't necessarily true, because I remember when the CDs came on the market, and I think it was early 80s.
Yeah.
And I was overseas at the time, and it was like a big thing to buy CDs. Oh, it won't break. It won't scratch. This is what they were saying.
Yeah,
and of course, we know that's not true. So, So tell us a little bit about your music, because you've got some stuff going on too, as far as independently released music. The album that I listened a bit to this morning was All Hope Is Never Lost on Bandcamp.
So yeah. I have been doing music for documentaries and short films and that kind of thing, and it's something I've wanted to do for years, but never had the time, because we were on tour or always working with the band. So I had some time, and I started doing little bits and pieces, and I really enjoy it, because I have a small studio beside my house, so it's perfect because I don't have to travel. And I started making like a show reel to send to directors and producers, and then after a few, maybe 2 or 3 tracks, I kind of said, this could be an album. I'll think about it in that frame of mind, and then decided to make an instrumental album from it. It's kind of what would you call it? Alternative kind of soundtracky kind of sound. It's hard to explain it. Yeah, it's all from emotion. There's no vocals or anything on it. It's just all moods, different types of moods that rise and fall. And I don't know. I like it anyway.
It kind of reminded me, the little bit that I heard, of some of the experimental stuff that Chris Squire from the band Yes was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I find it very interesting that you guys, I think you have the same birthday or similar birthdays.
Right.
So I thought, wow, that's kind of like really serendipitous, because it was like, wow, it's almost like he had the same stuff in his head. He had a lot of stuff that didn't ever reach mainstream, that he was doing on his own. So quite an accomplished musician. I got to see Yes 3 times, which
I
back
remember
in
that
the
band,
old days. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And tell us some of your influences in Ireland right now as far as musicians. And do you mentor anybody?
No, I spent a few years when I first started working in the studio here. I got a lot of younger bands in and recorded albums with them and kind of taught myself to engineer. And that was fantastic experience, but really long hours and no pay, and I had a young family at the time. So after a couple of years of that, I kind of said, look, this is like being on tour, because I never see the kids. I'm in the studio all the time. And, I kind of did it for like 2 or 3 years and said, look, that's enough. I can't spend all that time away, but it was a great experience. I learned so much from it. There's a lot of young bands coming out again, which is great in Ireland, because there was a lull for a while where there was almost no bands had a chance to play anywhere. And now there's a resurgence of kids buying guitars, and it's fantastic to see it. Even my own daughter has started playing. She started playing drums and piano, and she started a band in school. So it's fantastic to see that happening again. It's like, great. Finally, rock music is coming back a bit.
Do you think COVID affected a lot, and how is that still restricting things over there?
It's not anymore, thank God. Everything is starting to open up. I'm going to see the National, the band The National.
Oh yeah.
They're playing in Limerick next week, so I'm going to see them.
They're very, very good. Still there?
Yeah, they're great. Sorry.
I lost your video. There you go. There you go.
Someone was calling me. Yeah, they're fantastic. I saw them before, but it was an outdoor venue. It was really windy, so it was hard to hear.
Right.
But and the Chili Peppers then are playing at the end of June. I've seen them a lot of times. I love them. Great band.
They're awesome. Are your kids following in your footsteps?
Yeah, my eldest son is 22. He's going to come up with us.
Wow. Awesome. That is amazing. So what is next? Is there going to be anything else for the Cranberries? Maybe older music that hasn't come out of the can yet, or
there's
or you as an independent musician?
To the Faithful Departed is 25 years old, and we've been working on a box set for that, which is coming out at the end of this year. And we found loads of old demos and live stuff to put on it. So it's some nice treats for fans, and that it's great.
Wow.
It's great when you find all stuff like that has never been released before. It's fantastic. And it's nice to listen back to stuff like that, because it's like going through old photographs and all those memories come back. It's lovely,
Right. And how is your writing process, and how is the writing process with the band? Did you record little snippets and then put them all together, or did everybody kind of just throw something in the middle and see what came out? Or
what would usually happen is Dolores would come in with chords, or Noel would come in with chords and start playing them in rehearsal room. Everyone would listen for a few minutes, kind of get the mood, and then start adding bits. It was a telepathic thing. It was kind of the favorite thing. One of the favorite things I like to do in the band, was that whole process of someone coming in with a few chords, and suddenly an hour later we're playing part of a song, and it's starting to develop, and then the next day you come in again and you try it again, and you send it in another direction, without anyone saying maybe try this or try that. We never needed to. We were just so lucky because we clicked so well. You'd feel, okay, it should speed up here, or it should get heavier here, or it should quieten down here. You just know. We were just we really clicked with each other, and we kind of just felt how a song should progress. And, you know, it's always an amazing experience to kind of start off with, you know, 3 or 4 chords, and then suddenly you start to have a song.
So my very last question, where do you see yourself in, well, it's kind of a 2-parter. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And is retirement looming? Have you planned?
Oh, no.
Are you going to be in the rocking chair, or are you going to be rocking, basically, is the question.
Yeah, I'm going to be rocking. Definitely. Yeah, not in the rocking chair. Yeah, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, making music and doing a few movies here and there, you know, soundtracks for movies. I love that. It's fantastic, and it keeps me busy. And, you know, I don't think I'll ever retire. Music is such a big part of my life. I love this whole new chapter of, you know, making music from scratch and working with directors. And, you know, it's different. It's a completely different thing to being in a band. And I really enjoy it. And I like the fact that you don't have to travel. I'm a bit long in the tooth for touring now. I'm 50, right. So, you know, I don't want to be like the Rolling Stones. Fair dues them, it's great. Right. You know, they're fantastic to be able to do it, but I can't picture myself at 79 up on a stage.
I just saw them in Tampa, actually, on a couple days before Halloween. So last Halloween. Brilliant. And I was blown away by how they could even do that, and how
incredible
Mick just keeps running up and down that long ramp, you know, and I'm going, how
super
does he
fit.
do?
Unbelievable, it really is. I tip my hat to them.
He has to be the most fit person in rock and roll at that age. He has to be.
Definitely.
So it was wonderful chatting with you. I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Anita.
We're going to be posting this, and we're excited about, you know, the vinyl coming out. We're going to make sure we, you know, post this up on our website at rocketnight.com. And people can find you. Are you on the socials where?
Fergal, Lawler music, and then the Cranberries. You know, you just Google it and you'll find it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anita.
It was lovely. All right.
Bye.
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 You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at reverbnation.com.